Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about guessing the zodiac sign Aries, and this does apply and pertain to the sun, moon, and ascendant. Well, anyway, people, the first thing, fundamental thing, if you're trying to guess someone's sign, well, actually, what I want to say first is that you got to factor in ethnicity into the equation, because that can play a role. Because let's say, for example, if the person is African American, some of this may not apply and pertain to him and her. This is just a general description of Aries, and I'm going to talk about as far as trying to guess the sign, and the physical aspect is the first thing I would say to look at. And anyway, as far as Aries goes, and first you may inadvertently, if you guess somebody, then you say they're Aries and they tell you their sun sign is different. In many instances, it could be because you inadvertently guess their ascendant or moon sign. So keep that in mind as well. But as far as guessing Aries, looking at them from a physical vantage point, well, Aries can often be in middle stature to tall in height. Their hair coloring is often red, or could be a strawberry blonde, I guess you could say, or sandy color. It's often one of those colors as far as Aries goes. And their build is often slender and light. They often have sloping shoulders. The limbs seem to be proportionate as far as Aries goes, but if it's in the Sagittarius, Decadent, or Decan, which is the third one for Aries, then the legs may be a little bit longer in proportion with the rest of the body, or I should say in relationship to the rest of the body. Now, as far as the features go, the features can often be sharp for Aries. The complexion to the face can often be red. The head could be triangular shaped, with being broad near where the ears and where the eyes are, but gets narrow as it gets toward the chin. And Aries can often have a long neck and a rather prominent Adam's apple. So those are some things to look at as far as the physical characteristics of Aries. Now, one thing to look at as far as Aries goes, and in terms of what else can you do in terms of guessing the sign in addition to the appearance? Well, as far as the Aries goes, there's certain things about them that I think really stand out. When they're walking, the head often goes well in front of the rest of the body. I believe this kind of symbolizes their assertive and aggressive nature, the fact that they have the no fear concept, and they're just really plowing through and trying to get things done without any fear. Although Aries can also be rather impulsive, impetuous, and they can be very impatient. If I had a friend one time with the sun in Aries, and he was coming over one day. We were watching a boxing match. It was a tape delay. And when he knocked on the door, I opened it, and he said, "Can I come in?" And he was literally like halfway through the doorway when he said it. So that kind of epitomizes the Aries nature. Aries could be rather abrupt, and that's one thing that could be a dead giveaway to this sign. And what it is with Aries is too, I mean, he came over and he watched it was a tape delay of a boxing match, and imagine that, something connected with something combative and sports. I mean, what a remarkable coincidence, right? But in all seriousness, when he sat down and we were watching the tape delay of the boxing match, he was telling me to be quiet and in my own home. And really, I mean, I told him what I did was I proceeded to hit pause on the remote, and I told him, really what I thought about what he had said to me. And I didn't appreciate it. But what it is Aries can be rather abrupt with what they say. They may come across as a little bit abrasive, but they generally are not doing it out of malice or being belligerent, but they just often will not think before they speak. They're very similar to Sagittarius. That way, Aries can be impulsive and impetuous. And also in terms of like when they're driving, there are things, I mean, I see Aries being more involved in road rage than anyone else. They could be very impatient drivers. They could be the ones that are constantly, incessantly beeping when everyone else is going at their own pace, and they want to rush. They're often in a hurry and want to get things done right away. And another thing about Aries too is they can have a very strong outburst, but they generally have a forgive and forget philosophy. They're generally not vindictive or vengeful people, and those are, and as far as Aries goes too, another thing to look at is when they're walking. I don't know if you've noticed, I talked about the head going in front of the rest of the body before, but when they're in a group, they often want to walk in front of other people because it's just such a leadership nature connected with the sign. I think a lot of this has to do with the correspondence of them being the first sign of the zodiac, and they are strongly about leadership and initiative, and they really often like to lead the pack. Aries are often more involved in leadership positions along with the other two fire signs, Leo and Sagittarius. So really, the thing about Aries too is that they can get, as I stated before, they can get a little bit acerbic sometimes and acrimonious, and they'll be the ones, if they're in some sports competition, or whether it's at work or in a business or what have you, they're the ones often that will call that meeting and tell everybody what's going on and what they don't like about what's going on, and they're often the leaders in one way, shape, or form. Even if they're not a manager, they often exhibit a lot of leadership capabilities and attributes. This is the person that way often, another thing to spot Aries in terms of how to guess someone's sign, they're often the ones that will get into perhaps a physical confrontation on your behalf when a lot of other people may not do that. Those are some things to look at as far as guessing the zodiac sign Aries. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment on how to guess the zodiac sign Aries, and stay tuned next time where I'll be talking about how to guess the zodiac sign Taurus. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.